Get to that fair, it'll be a lot warmer.
And then I mentioned this morning, not that many months that we might be whining because it's too warm outside.
Yeah, we're never happy, are we? We're always complaining, just think if it wasn't for the weather, we'd have nothing to complain about.
I think somebody could find something to complain
Well,
about. Well,
probably so, but that's a major thing.
That's
right?
A whole other AM Minnesota, right?
That's right.
Well, a lot of plans have been made already for the Rice County Fair, haven't they?
Working on it. A lot of things are in motion. There's a few things that I'm working on. Hopefully they pan out for us. We've got some new things I'm trying to work on. And it sounds like it's a long time to January, or, from January to July. But before you know it, it'll be here, and then it'll be gone, and it'll be a thing of the past, and we'll be talking here again a year from now.
Well, but then during the current fair, you have a lot of exhibitors, maybe some of the vendors, some of the acts that have been popular. They sign a contract for the next year, sometimes even before they leave, don't they?
Sometimes, or they make sure that we keep them in mind for next year, and they want to come back. And most of my food vendors, come back year after year, and I'm thankful for that. When you look at it, we have a pretty good group of vendors that come in, food vendors. We have a good group of food vendors. Everybody
nice
gets along.
Mix of different things.
Yeah, nice mix of different things, and it's just one big happy time when we're there. And some probably do a little better one year than the other, but they keep coming back, and we talk, we work together, and what can we improve on. I listen to what some of their suggestions are, and you have to listen to them, and sometimes they have things that they need to talk about, and that's what makes the fair better. Everybody putting in their ideas, and not everybody's ideas work all the time, but you pick and choose, and you just work on to make the fair better. And
sometimes you never know. You try something new. Boy, that sounds like that'll really work. Sometimes it does, and sometimes you just can't foresee it and it doesn't work, so we'll try something different.
That's exactly right. And when it gets down to it, I know we talk about it, but we're so dependent on good weather. That's the key to the fair having success is, you want to have good weather. You don't want to have it raining all the time, because that's definitely going to drive the crowds away. The hot weather is probably the next thing, but even with it being hot, usually in the evening, that's when the people come out, and the weather cools down by then, and we try to make it enjoyable for them. And you just hope and pray that people will sit here and take advantage of it and come in and have a good time. And that's what we're there about. We want to make the place entertaining. We want to make it enjoyable for everybody, but along with making it enjoyable, you just also want to make it educational and have entertainment there that everybody's happy with. And you go
You're
on.
A popular guy.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to be. Sorry.
There was probably somebody trying to schedule something for the fair.
Most of them people text.
Oh.
Text or send you an email.
But that's why you guys work so hard, the fair board, all the volunteers, is when you go out there and you see a lot of people there having a good time. That's really what makes it worth it.
That is what makes it worth it. And you're right, having a good time, and that's what you strive for. And you're always going to have some people that are going to complain. There's going to be, and we do listen to the complaints, and, is that something that we need to change? Is that something that we need to deal with? Not all the times you can. What everybody says, you just can't put everybody's idea in, but you try to pick out, the ideas that are going to help make the fair better, and that's what we're here to
kind of bounce those ideas off other board members and kind of come to a consensus about what should we try.
That's exactly right.
Well, John, if you can stand by, we have to take a break for the markets. When we come back, we'll talk more about the Rice County Fair. And also, you guys have the State Fair Board Convention and the National Fair Board Convention coming up, too.
The National Convention is over with, but the state is coming up next week.
Taking in the new marketing year low for exports. A couple of the far optic birds are showing some slight gains in light trade. February's down 20 at 71.17, and April's 22 lower at 75.87. John Perkins, Brownfield Market Update.
The market update sponsored by the KDHL Agro Boosters, including Mark Dietz and Minnesota Agronomy Products, your local Titan Pro dealer. My guest at today's AM Minnesota program is John Dvorak, the manager of the Rice County Fair. John, just before the market break, we mentioned the State Fair Board Convention, and there's a national convention too that has already passed, right?
The national convention, yeah, that was the end of November.
But it's pretty important that you guys or some Fair Board members get up to the state convention, isn't it? Because aren't there a lot of exhibitors, different acts that then go and have booths, and you can find out, well, what's new, what maybe could we bring to the fair?
That's right, and that's where we get a lot of our ideas from is we go up there and you hire acts from that convention. It kind of works in a number of ways. We go up there and it's a good place to get some of your acts that you're going to have during the day or a daily act. But along that, a lot of that is we work with other counties, say, okay, Rice County, are you going to have this act? If you have it, then we're the week after you, and so maybe we could work together and make a commitment out with the artist and say, okay, if we can guarantee you so many fairs in a row, can you give us a better break on the price, because now
they can travel to one part of the country and stay there for 2 or 3 weeks.
Exactly. So a lot of that goes into play. A
lot of wheeling and dealing.
That's right, and you have to, because you try to make it as economical as you can to be able to afford some of these acts. You have a lot of music groups up there. You have a lot of promoters up there. Band managers that are up there that promote their band, and there's a lot of different managers, that not have just one band, but they might represent a number of bands. And they might represent a number of individuals that come out and perform, like your jugglers and different acts that go on. And so that's where, you get a lot of ideas there. And then, with that, everybody you get on a list, and everybody can get this list now. And I mean, I bet you every day I'll probably get 3-4 different emails or texts, well, I'm so and so from this organization, and I represent this group, this artist, and I represent, they might be a juggler, they might be a magician,
unicycle rider,
exactly, you got it. And just to introduce themselves to you, and that's now kind of the wave of the future, is social media and technology,
but it's a lot easier nowadays to get in contact with and find different performances than it was maybe years ago before.
It probably is, because along with all that stuff, they send a little YouTube video, and you go to this YouTube video and you click on it, you can kind of see what's it all about and what do they do, and so that makes it interesting, and it makes it a little bit easier, because now you have an idea, if you've never seen this group before, what they sound like or how they perform, and along with that, you still have groups that they actually pick up the phone and give you a call, and to me that means a lot more, is when I get a phone call from that individual, because I know they're really interested in coming to our fair.
So speaking of acts bringing back, a number of years ago, Kachunga, the alligator wrestler, was here, and just before we went on the air, John specifically requested that he would like to have the alligator back so he could wrestle the alligator. Think you could work on that?
I don't know. I'll have to find that. Number one, I don't know if that alligator's still around. Number two, it just depends. What's available at the time now. And a lot of
sometimes you might see an act that that would be really cool, and then you find out that they're booked.
That's exactly right. And then now we're going to say, okay, well, let's see, what do you have next year, the year after that? And sometimes, you might have to wait 2-3 years before that individual's free on that date to come back or to come and perform at your fair. I usually like to, as a rule of thumb, I like to have an artist that I hire, come back at least 2 years in a row is kind of what I like to do. Sometimes more. I know the Mitchell Marionettes, I've had them here year after year, but they were kind of a fixture at the fair. They've run into some health issues, and they won't be coming back to the fair this year, unfortunately. That's going to be a big void to fill, so I'll have to look for something kind of to replace that area and that type of entertainment. But They put on a great show. They always had a crowd. They were always busy. People enjoyed them, and you kind of build a bond with some of these individuals, and you become a family, and you send Christmas cards, and they'll call you just to see how you're doing, or I'll call them, and so that's one group that I'm going to miss this year, because they were excellent to work with.
You gotten some of the grandstand events nailed down already? Some of the fixtures? I mean, we always have the demolition derby. I'm going to go on strike if you don't have the NTPA truck and tractor pull.
Those are two. So far, that's in my plan, to bring those back again. The rodeo that we had last year, the Barnes Rodeo that came in, that was a huge success. And I'm, 99% sure that I want to bring that rodeo back in. One night we'll have our enduro races.
That's kind of a fixture. Everybody enjoys
right.
that.
Everybody
and
enjoys
looks forward
that.
to being able to race.
Yes. And really want to talk with and I'm seriously considering bringing them back, the group that we had with the bicycles last year. They were a great, that...
and talk about improvising. Remember how wet the track
Yeah.
was? And they got the dryers, the blowers out, and they set up shop in
the parking lot. Yeah. And so we were able to put it on, and
did you make them sign a waiver release in case they get themselves hurt?
No.
I saw what they were doing.
Actually, actually that's what they prefer to, is they like to work off of a solid surface like that. And so I don't know, I'm kind of thinking, that just might be a place where I put them again next year, is bring some portable bleachers in there.
Some of the things they were doing on a bicycle, it's like, folks, don't ever try this at home yourself.
That's exactly right.
Boy, they were amazing.
And you know what? They were great to work with. And I'll never forget this. You remember the rain we had.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 o'clock, and it was like the clouds opened up, and it didn't let up until about 5 o'clock. And then all of a sudden
and we were supposed to go on the air, and a lot of our equipment got wet, and we still got on the air. I sat on a wet chair, ended up with wet pants from the chair. I will add that in there. But you wing it. You go with the flow, you deal with it.
That's right. And so I get a call about 4 o'clock, and it's the individual that is working with me on this bicycle act, and he calls me up and he says, we're sitting in Walmart. And I says, well, sit there. He said, well, what are we going to do? I says, maybe you should drive out here. And I said, we'll put our heads together and let's see if we can work something out. Because at that time already I was thinking, well, maybe I could have them perform like right in front of the barns, because that's an asphalt road. And so he says, okay. He says, well, I'm not going no place. And he says, when it stops, I'll be out there. And so fortunately it stopped at around 5 o'clock, and he came out, and that's when we came up with that game plan. He says, well, what about this area right here? And I says, okay. And he said, the only problem is, he said, it's got to be dry. And so, what do you do?
It was called propane torches.
And so, P.J. Duchesne from the county, he brought over those propane torches, and we brought over some backpacks that we have for the blowers, and we just kept going. I mean, people had to think we were nuts. And we got it ready. And
well, then a bunch of us carried benches from the stage over so people could sit and watch, and there were tons of people there enjoying it.
It was, and so that really worked out well, and to be able to pull off something like that, and my vendors all thanked me, because that would have been a night loss had we not have been able to do that. That would have been a night loss, and they were able to have a good night. And the carnival had a good night doing it, and so we were able to keep the people there, and everybody was happy. And it's like, wow, we bit a bullet here.
Well, but that's thanks to so many of the improvements that have been made to the fairgrounds. We must have gotten a couple inches of rain. I mean, it just poured for a while. And as soon as it quit raining, we were getting ready, and people were back out, because you have a lot of asphalt, and the walkways in between the carnival is asphalt, and so we could get back and go again.
Well, and too, the people that came for the 3 o'clock opening of the the rides, they had to stay there because they were forced into a barn, and they couldn't get out till it quit raining. And
well, that's because of the severe thunderstorm,
yeah,
but the safety plan kicked in, you know?
Yeah, the safety plan kicked in, and it worked, and you know, you hate to see it rain, but there's nothing you can do about the weather, and you just kind of, okay, what's plan B? And sometimes, you know, you go to plan B, plan C, and plan D, and hopefully one of those plans
Well, I
work.
remember it started raining so heavy, and we had a tent over our booth, just a roof.
Mm-hmm.
And all at once the wind came up, so we all scurried into the exhibit building, and that's where we rode out the storm.
That's right. And you know,
And that's what's nice about you have some permanent structures there
that
to get people
into the buildings.
into
Yeah.
it.
And another thing too is, you know, we have a great sheriff's department that works with us. You know, the county sheriff's department. They do such a great job out there for us. Troy, he's on top of everything, and we communicate quite a bit. And you know, we communicated long before the rain came, and you know, we were watching it coming in on their computers and watching what that storm cell was doing, and so we pretty much made that decision before 3 o'clock what we were going to do, that, you know, we weren't going to open the rides until this passed. And it was a tough decision because, you know, people were there, they were waiting to get on the rides, and
you want to be on top of the Ferris wheel when the storm hits.
that's right. And so you know, we made that decision, and that we were going to hold off until this storm moved out. And you hate to make those kind of decisions in that way, but you know, you have to. And it worked out great. And unfortunately, it took a little while to the storm to pass through, a couple hours, but it passed through, and we started up, and everybody went, and I think everybody had fun, and they came out and had fun.
And if you would have said, no, we're going to let them ride, and then somebody would have gotten hurt because of the severe weather, been a whole lot worse.
That's exactly right. And so
Fair would have been shut down for a whole lot longer.
that's right. And you know, the Gold Star Amusement, they were on top of it too. And you know, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of decisions that have to be made, and some of them are split second decisions. But this one here, we were pretty well all.
Well, I'm sure they didn't. They probably have safety protocols that they
Exactly,
want to
so.
follow with their rides, and I don't think they wanted to start up with that coming in.
No, and so it worked out, and you know, we're glad we worked out the way it did. And,
They'll be back next year. The same Gold Star will be back.
Oh yeah, Gold Star is coming back again. They'll be here for this coming year, and they're a great fair to work with. And you know, they have their shop right here in Faribault now in the old Selner facility. That's where their shop is, and that's where they house and maintain everything. And Mike's great to work with. His people are great, and they put on a.
Oh, the employee's so clean cut. I don't
Yes.
think I'd be clean cut enough to get a job working for them.
You know, and that's the nice thing about it. I mean, you know, it's you don't have that scruffy guy running that ride, and they're nice, clean cut, and they're courteous, and they're too.
They seem to enjoy seeing people have a good time.
That's right. That's right. And they do a good job of it, and they bring in some nice rides. And I mean, you know, you look at the rides that we have, and it's some exciting rides to go on, and so they do a good job, and we're glad we have them, and we intend to keep them as long as we can.
I'll tell you what, I'd be really impressed if you could get the world's tallest Ferris wheel from the State Fair down here. Then I'd be impressed with you, John. That's amazing, the rides that they can design and still move.
That's right.
It's mind-boggling how they can
That's right.
get those all packed up and not leave a few parts behind that, oh shoot, now how do we put this together, because we lost a few things back at the previous fair.
You know, and it was really interesting because this past fall, my wife and I took a trip to Europe, and while we were there, we had plans to go to Munich to Oktoberfest, and I never thought, you know, what's Oktoberfest, and so we went there, and man, it's just like a big amusement ride. I mean, man, you should see the rides that they have over there.
And they bring those all in. They're all mobile then, or some of them permanent?
No, those are all mobile, and the way I understand it is a lot of them are individuals, separate individuals that come in there, so it's not one company that comes in there. And boy, they got some rides there. I mean, you know, it's unbelievable.
And the real question is, did John and his wife go on some of those?
No, John and his wife didn't go on some of those.
That's for the younger crowd? Is that what you're saying?
Man, I tell you, I mean, you'd think they had some rides here, but holy cow, did they have some rides there. I mean, I don't know how some of the people got off and could walk a straight line, because I'd have been dizzy for a week.
And maybe a little sick.
Yeah. But, you know, it's great, and, you know, it's a lot of fun. And I hope people that come out to the Rice County Fair and enjoy what we have here at the fair.
My 23 years of experience with the Rice County Fair, it just seems like every year there are more improvements and permanent structures being remodeled. And that's thanks to a lot of individuals, and it's also thanks to the Rice County Board of Commissioners that help pitch in too, kind of taking care of some of those buildings.
That's right. And, you know, it's just not only the fair and the fair board, but it's a group of people. You know, it's individuals that come out and volunteer. It's our county commissioners that, you know, it means a lot to them to have a county fair. It's the city of Faribault coming in and working with us. And so,
the city of Northfield.
The city of Northfield, that's right, and all the surrounding cities. You know, it's a county event, but yet, you know, we want everybody to be able to come in and be part of it. And you know, we have so many different events that go on at the fair. You know, we have the best of the best with our farm groups that come out.
Well, yeah, that's such a great tradition on that Wednesday morning.
And that's right. And down on the west end, or the east end of the fairgrounds, we have the Historical Society that puts on a lot of activities for kids. And I'm working on something with them, and hopefully something's going to work out that we can improve on that. And so it's all these different groups and organizations.
How about the Master Gardeners and what they've done?
That have and what they've done with that area there. We have the conservation building where we have groups that come in there and you know, talk about conservation, and the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts are in there, and you know, the Cannon Valley Watershed is in there, and Minnesota DNR. We have the fish in the fish ponds and the aquariums.
And you know what else? It's cool. You work out a deal with someone that has a water garden. Who was it? Langsley.
Yes.
You know, so that's his business, but he can go and build one there, and so it makes the fairgrounds look nice, but yet he's kind of promoting his business too. You love those kind of partnerships.
Yeah. The American Legion and VFW, you know, the new flag poles that we got, you know, where they come in and be part of the fair. And so, you know, it's whether you're big or small, in the 4-H program, I mean, you can't forget about what we do with our 4-H program, what they do for us at the fair. I mean, Kelly over there does a great job with these individuals, and these kids come out and you know, they have in the general exhibit building, they have their general exhibits, and then in the barns, you know, the rabbits and the goats and the dairy and the beef and the sheep and the pigs and
then
chickens.
Being able to partner with is it the Suffolks? The state show was here later on in the week.
Yes, the state show was here, and our horse barn is always full, and they come in and they put on a great show. So it's everybody working together, and they know that's what makes the fair go.
So if you want to keep up on the fair, I assume Tara is doing her job and kind of updating the Rice County Fair website throughout the cold winter.
Yes, she is, and all of our new information should be on it now. I know the updated applications for the indoor space and the outdoor space and the food vendor, those are downloaded, and they are on the website now. So, you know, if somebody's interested and wants to get information on that, you can go to our website.
Do you have the nomination form for the Rice County Agriculture Hall of Fame up there on the website?
I'm going to have to double check on that.
Well, that's on the to-do list today, so we get that. Art should be very proud of me for remembering to mention that for him.
And so, you know, things are going to start rolling here, and won't be long, and we'll be making our visits and talking to all of our sponsors that were sponsors last year, and we're so grateful that they were sponsors, whether they were big or small sponsors. And it's just so hard to start naming off sponsors because there's so many of them. You hate to forget someone, but
But that's what the website is for, and Tara, right? She
right.
gets all those on there.
But I'm thankful for everybody that sponsors. Whether it's a big or small sponsorship, it all helps. And without their sponsorship, we'd have a hard time putting this fair on.
Another thing that helps the fair too is a lot of those permanent buildings out there are generating some revenue for the fair as we speak.
That's right. Every one of them are full of recreational vehicles and cars and their storage, and so that's out there. They're filled up right now with that. And
then also, don't you have people when family gatherings or weddings gets a little nicer, they'll rent part of the fair for that too?
They're trying to, that's slowly starting, and people are calling now. In fact, I have when I get down here, I have an individual that wants to meet with me, and they want to have a show where they have a breed of boxers, the dogs, and
kind of like a dog show then.
Gonna have it's the type of a dog show where it's just going to be boxers, and I kind of think it's a organization, and that's all they have. And so he said they've got a show that they're going to put on, and the way he was talking is they have a judge coming all the way from Russia that's going to judge this boxer show.
But I don't think a lot of people realize if you have some special event, buildings are available to be rented. Well, look at the grandstand. It's so cool when you have those rodeos in during the summer.
That's right. We had the rodeos. We rent out the beer garden for parties. We've had several company parties that have come out and rented the beer garden to have a company party. We have the other the old gymnastic building.
Yep.
So there's 2 rooms in the gymnastic building where the gymnastic center itself was.
Isn't the archery club out there in the off season?
The archery club is out there in the off season, so there's plenty of rooms out there to rent. And if anybody's interested, they can give my office a call and come out and look at it.
And they can find your telephone number on the website again.
That's right, on the website. We also rent out the Selner stage. We have several church groups and other fairs that rent it
festivals
out.
And they can rent. Oh yeah, sure, because it's portable.
That's portable, and so we do rent that out. That's available to rent out. So we try to generate as much off-season income as we can, and that just helps us bring in that much more better entertainment that we can help defray the cost with.
Because it is a free fair.
That's right. It's still a free fair, and it's going to stay a free fair. And it's just pay to park your car, and it doesn't make a difference how many people are in the car. It's per car.
I'm not sure you can say it's a free fair though, because how can you go to the fair and not buy some food?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, John, we're almost out of time, but I always enjoy visiting with you. Let's do this again in a month or two, kind of an update on how plans are going for the 2018 Rice County Fair.
Well, thank you, thank you, Jerry, and I appreciate being here and having me here. And we always like KDHL. KDHL is our #1 fair station, and they're our go-to station, and we appreciate working with you.
We've got news from ABC on KDHL.